Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I greet to my financial management lecturer, Dr. Irfan Najah binti Basir. Hi Mixis, my name is Muhammad Aman Hafiz Berma Azmi. I'm from class 6E. Before we go to the analysis of corporate financial performance, let's take a look at the company background that I have chosen under the telecommunication and media sector. So for the first one is RedTONE Digital Berhad. RedTONE Digital Berhad is a leading service provider for organizations of built-in telecommunications and digital infrastructure. A huge range of services is offered under three main categories, from one voice provider to one provider, such as telecommunication services, industrial digital services, and management telecommunication network services. The second company is Astro Malaysia Holding Berhad. Astro Malaysia Holdings Berhad is an investment holding company that engage in the providing of television services, film library licensing, talent management, radio services, multimedia interactive services, content creating, distribution, and also home shopping services. Now, let me start the trend analysis for both company with liquidity ratio first. So, for the current ratio in RedTONE, in 2018, the company's current ratio are more than its current liabilities by 2.29 times, which means that for RM1 ringgit of current liabilities, they can cover RM2 ringgit 29 cents by its current assets. In 2019, the company's current assets are more than its current liability by 2.67 times, which is the best and higher compared to the others here. Meanwhile, in 2020, the company's current assets are also more than its current liabilities by 2.57 times. In those 3 years, the company showed inconsistency from year to year. For the second company, that is Astro, the result of the company's current ratio showing contradictory as in 2018. The result is 0.85 times, which means that the company are not able to cover RM1 ringgit of current liabilities using RM 85 cents of current assets. In 2019, the result has decreased to 0.78 times and start increasing to 0.96 times in 2020. The current ratio in 2020 showing the highest and the best compared to 2 years before. So for the quick ratio in RedTONE, the quick ratio has showing inconsistent throughout those years. In 2018, it shows the ability of the company to pay without relying on the inventories for RM1 ringgit of its current liabilities by RM2 ringgit 29 cents. While in 2019, it shows that the ability of the company to pay without relying on the inventories for RM1 ringgit of its current liabilities has increased to RM2 ringgit and 67 cents and has decreased to 2 ringgit and 56 cents in 2020. While for Astro, in 2018, the result was 0.84 times, which means for M1 ringgit of the current liabilities, the company are not able to cover with RM 84 cents using its current asset. Meanwhile, in 2019, the quick ratio start to decrease by 0.77 times and almost reach 1 in 2020 by getting 0.96 times, but still make it difficult for the company to meet short-term obligation by repaying their loans. Next is activity ratio. So, average collection period for RedTONE Digital Berhad in 2018, the average day to collect the account receivable is 204.13 days. While in 2019, the average day to collect the account receivable was decreasing to 59.63 days, where It is much better compared to other years, and it is the best indication of the effectiveness of its account receivable management practices because the company can collect payment faster. But when it comes to 2020, the average collection period start increasing to 125.57 days. While in Astro Malaysia Holding Berhad in 2018, the average day to collect the account receivable is 65.84 days, while in 2019 it took for 53.12 days. However, in 2020, the result of the company's average collection period was decreased to 49.02 days, where it is the best collecting its receivable in relatively short and reasonable period of time gives the company time to pay off its obligation. For the total asset turnover in RedTONE Digital Berhad, the company showed inconsistency in its total asset turnover ratio. In 2018, for RM1 of total asset, the company was able to generate RM57 cents of sale, while in 2019, for RM1 of total assets, the company was able to generate RM91 cents of sales, which means it is the best and the highest total asset turnover that indicates the efficiency of using its asset to generate revenue. In 2020, the company started showing decreasing as the ability to generate sales for RM1 of total asset was RM70 cents. In Astro Malaysia Holding Berhad, the total asset turnover for the company also showing inconsistency. In 2018, for RM1 of total assets, the company was able to generate RM81 cents of sale, while in 2019, it showed increment by generate RM88 cents of sales. Unfortunately, in 2020, the company's total asset turnover dropped by RM79 cents, which is the worst compared to other years, and it indicates that the company is not efficiently using its asset to generate the sales. For the debt ratio in RedTONE Digital Berhad in 2018, the debt ratio is 31.57%, while in 2019, the debt ratio has decreasing to 30.67% in 2019. This indicates that in 2019, the company has used the lowest amount of debts in financing the company compared to others here. Meanwhile, in 2020, the debt ratio started to increase to 36.16%, while in Astro Malaysia Holding Berhad in 2018, the debt ratio was 90.47%, which is the highest, means that the company has used the highest amount of debts in financing the company compared to other years. Whereas in 2019, the debt ratio is 89.15% and start to decrease to 84.85% in 2020. Debt to equity ratio. For RedTONE Digital Berhad in 2018, the company's debt to equity ratio was 0.47 times, while in 2019 it started to decrease to 0.44 times. Means that the liability of 44.05% of stockholder equity will provide RM44 cents for each RM1 of total liabilities by stockholders to finance the assets. Although in 2020, the debt to equity ratio started to increase to 0.57 times, it can be seen as safe as the portion of the asset provided by stockholder is greater than the portion of asset provided by the creditors. For the Astro Malaysia Holdings Berhad in 2018, the company's debt to equity ratio was 9.48 times, while in 2019, the debt to equity ratio started to increase by 9.53 times, means that the liability of 953.52% of stockholders' equity will provide RM 9.53 for each RM 1 ringgit of total liabilities by stockholders to finance the assets. It indicates that the portion of assets provided by creditors is greater than the portion of asset provided by the stockholders. In 2020, the company debts to equity ratio starts to decrease by 1.15 times, but still the company will be considered risky. Now let's take a look at the profitability ratio. For the RedTONE Digital Berhad, the company showed inconsistency in gross profit margin throughout 3 consecutive years. In 2018, the company's gross profit was 44.46%, which was the best and the highest among the other years, while in 2019, the gross profit margin drops by 40.30% and increased back to 42.89%. Overall, the company is considered financially healthy and having a positive rate of gross profit margin, while in Astro Malaysia Holding Berhad, based on the result obtained, the company also showing inconsistency in gross profit margin from 2018 to 2020. In 2018, the company's gross profit margin was 40.88%, and it is best compared to 2019 and 2020. Unfortunately, it started decreasing to 35.49% in 2019. The company's gross profit margin started increasing to 38.59% in 2020. However, the company is showing a positive rate of gross profit margin and financially healthy. For the net profit margin in RedTONE Digital Berhad in 2018, the company's net profit margin is 13.79%, which is the best and the highest compared to other years. It means that in 2018, the company earns RM 13 cents in profit for every ringgit it collects. However, in 2019, the company's net profit margin started decreasing to 10.4% and keep decreasing to 4.9% in 2020. For Astro Malaysia Holding Berhad in 2018, the company's net profit margin was 13.81%, which is the best among the other years. Unfortunately, in 2019, the company's net profit margin started to drop by 8.41%, means that for every RM 1 ringgit of the revenue, the company can only earn RM 8 cents in net profit. However, in 2020, the company net profit margin increased to 13.12%, which indicates that for every RM 1 ringgit of revenue, the company can earn RM 13 cents in net profit. Now we have come to the cross-sectional analysis, where for this analysis, I have analyzed for year 2020 in both companies. So for the current ratio, the liquidity performance between both of companies obviously show that RedTONE Digital Berhad have the best ability in maximizing the liquidity of its current asset to settle their debts and payables. In 2020, RedTONE Digital Berhad has managed to cover RM1 of its current liabilities using RM2.57 of its current assets, while for Astro Malaysia Holding Berhad, the company was unable to cover RM1 of its current liabilities with RM96 of its assets. For the quick ratio, based on the cross-sectional analysis of quick ratio between both companies, it can be clearly seen that RedTONE having the best result compared to Astro Malaysia Holding Berhad. In 2020, RedTONE Digital Berhad having a quick ratio of 2.56 times means that the company has RM2.56 of liquid asset available to cover each of RM1 of its current liabilities. It indicates that the company is fully equipped with enough asset to be instantly liquidate to pay off their current liabilities. Meanwhile, for Astro, the company unable to cover each RM1 of its current liability with its RM96 of liquid asset, which means that the company are not able to fully pay off its current liabilities in the short term. For the average collection period, the cross-sectional analysis of the average collection period of both companies show that Astro Malaysia Holding Berhad take short time on average for the company to receive payments it is owned from the customer or clients. In 2020, Astro Malaysia Holding Berhad are able to collect payment from the customer or account receivable within the average of 49.02 days, while for RedTONE, it takes for them the average of 125.57 days to collect the payment from its customer. This indicates that RedTONE are not managed well to ensure they have enough cash on their hand to meet their financial obligations. Total asset turnover. Based on the result, it shows that Astro Malaysia Holding Berhad are better in managing efficiently to produce sales compared to RedTONE. In 2020, Astro Malaysia Holding Berhad had managed to generate RM79 of sales by using its RM1 of total asset. Meanwhile, for RedTONE, by using its RM1 of total asset, they can generate for only RM70 of sale. Although there are not much differences between those companies, but still Astro having the highest total asset turnover compared to RedTONE. For the debt ratio, the cross-sectional analysis of debt ratio between both company RedTONE Digital Berhad and Astro Malaysia Holdings Berhad are same, having more asset than debts. In 2020, the RedTONE's debt ratio was 36.16%, means that 36.16% of the company assets are financed by the creditors, which means every RM1 of the company asset has about RM36 of debts, while Astro, it is 84.85% of the company assets are financed by the creditors, which means every RM1 of the company's asset has about RM85 of debts. However, both companies are fully own most of their assets, which they are independent and financially stable, that may not need to rely heavily on borrowed funds. For the debt to equity ratio, based on the result obtained, RedTONE shows a good debt to equity ratio, as in 2020, RedTONE managed to get 0.57, which means that the liability of 57.13% of stockholders' equity will provide RM57 for each RM1 of total liabilities by stockholders to finance the assets. It can be seen as safe as the portion of asset provided by stockholder is greater than the portion of asset provided by the creditors. Meanwhile, for Astro, the company debts to equity ratio was 6.15, which was quite high, that often associated with high risk, which means that the company has been aggressive in financing its growth with debt. For the gross profit margin, based on the cross-sectional of gross profit margin between both companies, RedTONE showing the highest and the best, as in 2020, the company's gross profit margin was 42.89%, which means that the company managed to make more profit on sales and more efficient at converting raw materials into income, while for Astro, the company's gross profit was 38.59%, which means that the company is creating a less gross profit from its revenue and less efficient at turning the raw materials and labor into income. However, the both companies showing a positive rate of gross profit margin and financially healthy. Lastly, for the net profit margin, based on the cross-sectional of net profit margin between both companies, it can be clearly seen that Astro having a good and best net profit margin, as the company's net profit margin in 2020 was 3.12%, which indicates that for every RM1 of revenue, the company can earn RM30 in net profit. It is also showing that the Astro can make more profit from every sale compared to RedTONE, while for RedTONE managed to get 4.9%, means that for every RM1 of revenue, they can only earn RM4 in net profit. For the recommendation, the quit ratio for Astro, they need to improve, as from 2018 to 2020, the company having a lower quit ratio which is below than 1. That makes Astro are not capable to fully pay off its current liabilities in the short term. The company need to increase their sale and inventory turnover by giving incentive sales staff to ensure the sales increase, which in turn will increase the turnover of the inventory, giving discount to the customer and increase the marketing. Next, the average collection period for both company, Astro and RedTONE, are more than 30 days, which make they did not manage for having enough cash on their hand to meet financial obligation. So it is recommended for both company to shorten the bank processing time by set up a direct deposit to the customer to ensure the customer can transfer money to the company's bank directly from the account, thus reduce the time of the bank processing. Lastly, the debt to equity ratio for Astro quite high, that leads the company has been aggressive in financing its growth with debt, which often associated with the high risk. So the company need to increase their profitability by improving the sales revenue and lowering the costs. As a conclusion, the financial ratio analysis can be classified into two: trend analysis and cross-sectional analysis, where it is done to compare the line of items in the financial statements of a business. Sometimes it is used to evaluating the number of issues with an entity, such as its efficiency of the operations, liquidity, and also its profitability. This analysis is very important for the financial analyst of a business to know the exact final position or condition of the company, and also to preserve the company from facing with too high amount of operating expenses and too high usage of liabilities in the financing the company. It is also important for the analyst to know and compare the strengths and weakness of various companies. In addition, this type of analysis will also allow us to ensure that our company's performance is better than our competitors in terms of managing the financial position or deciding on the amount of investment, and also to decide which company is the best for us to invest with. I think that's all from me. Thank you.